Hi, I'm John Majani, and I've been helping customers solve their varying digital identity needs for years. Today, we'll talk briefly about how to bring identity-first passwordless authentication to address your VPN and Wi-Fi needs. Every few years, we hear, often spoken with certainty, that this or that technology will mark the end of the VPN as we know it, and yet enterprise VPNs continue to be a dominant method for protecting enterprise data and applications. Yes, the VPN is in decline, and in some cases, and including my own, I've never needed to connect to the Sectigo corporate VPN, but this does not signal the end of the VPN for everyone. Greatly exaggerated, period. The VPN is alive and well and growing at a projected CAGR of 18% between 2022 and 2027. And that's a phenomenal rate for a technology that was developed in the mid 1990s. The problem with VPNs is not a question of technology, but often it gets its bad reputation because of how it's deployed and managed, and in some dramatic cases, not managed. For the majority of companies, since the first broad lockdowns in 2020 because of COVID-19, there was little to no option. Employees who never needed a VPN or Wi-Fi connection were now connecting from home and trying to work as though they were in the office. It's one thing if you're a seasoned road warrior who does most of their work in PowerPoint presentations and Excel spreadsheets, but it's another thing entirely if you're in finance or a developer whose applications require nearly always on access to data on systems behind a firewall. All of a sudden, companies found they couldn't support the number of VPN connections they needed or discovered they didn't even have a VPN to begin with. What made things worse was the rush to buy computers, desktop, laptop, anything at all to support remote work. In many cases, enterprises who would never have let a single personal computer onto their wired and Wi-Fi networks were now in a position where they needed to grant them access by the hundreds, all while madly scaling up their VPN capabilities. So what measures should you put in place to ensure VPN and Wi-Fi networks are accessible but also secure? Well, authentication is the first step to granting a human and or machine access to your resources. In one of my other talks on using passwordless identities to enable zero trust architectures, I review the many options available to perform two-factor and multi-factor user identity verification. Yes, as this diagram shows, you do have many options varying in cost, deployment complexity, and usability to help identify your endpoints first before you ever grant them access to your network. Having options is great, but not all options are created equal, and some put undue burden on your users and IT departments to manage. A FIDO key might work great for authenticating to your desktop, but it's probably not supported by your legacy VPN or Wi-Fi equipment. Plus, FIDO keys have a capital expense associated with them, and it is not cheap. How quickly could you procure and roll out hundreds or thousands of FIDO tokens in any case, whether they helped address your VPN needs or not? You have enough challenges ahead of you, so why not reduce the burden of verifying user identities by giving your users the same type of identities you'll give your machines? Digital certificates provide you all of the flexibility you might expect from traditional authentication mechanisms, but they are more secure and in some ways much easier to use. What does the user experience look like connecting a VPN on a mobile device? Traditionally, at least, I can tell you some of my past experiences. I run an app on my phone that generates an 8-digit OTP every 30 seconds. I then have to launch the VPN software, enter in my username, and then password, and finally the 8-digit OTP. That is a lot of back and forth interaction and a lot of typing. And I'm all thumbs on a virtual keyboard, so this is not a pleasant experience. The security might have been improved with the addition of the OTP factor, but the usability sure was poor. And don't forget, I had to change my password every 3 months on top of that. So what does it look like with the digital certificate? I simply enroll an authenticating Wi-Fi certificate and VPN certificate into my mobile device using a variety of secure methods, and that's it. IT policy can ensure that the device has sufficiently strong lock screen policies. When I need to fire up my VPN application, all I need to do is select the certificate I want to use to prove my identity. Don't even have to type in my username, let alone a password and an 8-digit OTP. The same approach allows you to tackle the security with Wi-Fi when you happen to be on the enterprise's premises. Now you've gone ahead and taken a big step towards converging your human and non-human identity first needs, all available from a single platform and provider, the Sectigo Certificate Manager with integrations. Sectigo is identity first security done simply, done your way, and done securely. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy and get value from the rest of our summit.